Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys all for braving the early morning. I'm super excited to tell you about our project, Reitium. Reitium is a real estate investment platform and security token exchange. We're making it possible for anyone to own income-generating real estate anywhere in the world, and we're excited to tell you how we're structuring this. So real estate is the largest asset class in the world. It is the greatest source of tangible asset wealth as well, and it's growing. In fact, as of today, we are less than 45% of humans living in cities, but every week, 140,000 people leave the village for the lights of the city, creating an intense demand driver for infrastructure and real estate. Less than 50% of the buildings that will exist in 2030 have yet been built. So there's an amazing demand driver there for construction and financing those constructions and the future of cities. 70% of humans will live in cities by 2050, and you can understand that this asset class is only going to grow and grow. When we look even deeper, we see that actual residential real estate is the largest asset class segment in the world, but it's actually out of reach of the normal person. As cities get wealthier, the average person finds it harder to actually get a hold of this tangible asset and make wealth out of it. When we look at actually how illiquid real estate is, less than 0.05% of the total asset value of real estate actually gets moved every year. And this is actually people in the same jurisdiction within the same area buying real estate assets there. The ability to do global real estate investing and transaction has been limited over the last 1,000 years to kings and marauders and really big banks and people with those great networks. And what the promise of the internet is, and not just blockchain technology, but mobile phone adoption, payments, the ability for us to see and trust each other, will now change the ability for us to do more complex activities and for more people, both from the enterprise to the mom and pop, to start participating in global assets. So what's the problem? Real estate investing is really hard. It's capital intensive. People, whether you're a small mom and pop or a business trying to get your financing, it's getting harder and harder to get in there. It's really poor liquidity. If you go in by yourself, you now have to go back and sell to the market. If you group your funds together, you're all on title. If you're in a REIT structure, there's so many ways that liquidity is limited, and it doesn't have to. What crypto has shown us in blockchain markets is just how great liquidity can be when you actually digitize an asset and give people a way to trust the transfer process. The final thing is the limited access to global markets. So you may be able to, if you're in New York or one of the great centers of the world, be able to get an ETF or get into a REIT. But what about people in Indonesia? What about someone in Kenya who wants to buy in Thailand? What about someone in Thailand who wants to buy in New York? There's very, very limited ways to do this, very expensive to transform and move the money, clear the documents, and have trust. But I think this is changing, and we're one of the companies that's trying to change that. So what our solution is a global real estate investment platform that can tokenize and monetize any real estate asset and then have that trade primarily and on a secondary trading security token exchange that is 100% compliant in the United States and Canada to begin. So how do we do this? We have two tokens. So the one token is a utility token that is a payment system. This allows us to get money from anywhere in the world and trust that transfer. That token is then used on our platform to pay for the real estate and to pay fees. If you use our token, you pay half the fees. But we actually believe in inclusion. So you can use fiat, bank wire, credit card, or actually other crypto. You just pay higher fees. You can also use that token to get paid out when you actually sell your security tokens. We have a custom security property ownership token that's built upon Hyperledger Fabric. And what this allows us to do is encrypt way more metadata than an Ethereum ERC20, number one, and tie that ownership directly back to the underlying company vehicle and property title. But on top of that, we can actually have every single trade on our platform be 100% compliant with the laws of the jurisdiction where the property is and the laws of where the investor is coming from. And that's something that no one has yet figured out on ERC20, and we figured that out on Hyperledger. I'm really excited about that. So when we look at our competitive advantage, one thing that we can do is we actually tokenize and fractional ownership so people can invest in real estate for as little as $100. We have 24/7 liquidity, and every trade is 100% compliant. A global marketplace. When we talk to all of our potential customers around the world, especially on the enterprise side, they say, wow, this will help me access cheaper money, go to my originating investors and get better deals, and they'll allow me to access more properties, more examples. I'm limited to where I can travel physically. Now I can travel the world through your platform. Vetted properties. Building an AI system upon IBM Watson to really vet properties, not just from the standpoint of making sure all the documents are good. We have a triangle of trust, so trust companies, lawyers, all have to cryptographically sign a chain of responsibility for all the documents they put through, but then we're also giving every property a score. Private permission, scalable blockchain on IBM Hyperledger Fabric. Right now, Ethereum is pushing 20 transactions per second. IBM is about 3,500 transactions per second. When you mix that in with the mainframe, it can scale to millions, and this is right out of the box. Hyperledger has done 65 projects with IBM across 400 companies, including the Port of Singapore for shipping, American Express, Starbucks, DuPont, Walmart, the list can go on. This is tried and true technology. This is not a prototype. They're 2 years deep, and we're really happy to join that club. Continuous automation reduces the legal and accounting. This is how we're able to go from a private REIT that costs, for every $25,000 they bring in, $3,000 goes to legal and accounting. On our system, we're able to automate a lot of that, and that's why they're really excited to use us, because they can double their deals and half their back office. So let's look under the hood. When we look at this platform, what we realized is you can't just build a token. You can't just go out and say, here's 25% of the picture. What you really got to do is create a solution for the industry to take this and run and plug and play. So the token system, the wallet and exchange, and in fact, we actually have a partnership with a company called Keys out of Korea. They're building the first Hyperledger Fabric wallet that can do both ERC20 and Fab coins, and we're very excited for that. It's going to allow us to do a lot of amazing things. We have a tax engine built right in, KYC AML marketplace, so we have our partners, but whatever country you're in, we can plug and play your KYC partners right there. Property title registry, it's our own custom architecture that not only wraps the property title, the underlying company vehicle, but as well as all the laws and regulations for each country. And we actually think over the next 5 years, we can prove out this property system for other governments to take it on. So what does this mean? This means that we can tokenize individual properties and buildings. We can do funds and REITs, and we have a strategy and some customers for that. We can also do real estate ICOs. So if you want to tokenize a fund, you want to tokenize your neighborhood, your hospital, you can actually now do that on our platform and be 100% compliant, at probably 10% of the cost it used to be. Kevin O'Leary, very famously in America right now, is tokenizing a $600 million hotel deal. It's a one-off. The next person to do this on Wall Street will have to go through the entire process again. For us, we think we're going to be able to do a 10x improvement for them and onboard as many customers as are coming through. So our customers are really happy about this. We have over $80 million in LOIs and more coming in. This is across 3 countries. These are family offices, these are REITs, these are private investors, and we haven't even yet talked about individual people tokenizing their own real estate. We're waiting for the legal framework to do that, but we think there's going to be a flood of properties and a flood of value. Our revenue model. Yes, we have a revenue model right out of the bat. So transaction fees, private deal room fees, white label fees. So a private deal room, a REIT, et cetera, could use that. But if you're a broker-dealer and you, like one we've met in Singapore who works between Australia, China, and Singapore, he does a mezzanine deal 2 weeks, then he'll do a new build construction, then he'll do a couple peer-to-peer mortgages. So when he sees our platform, he can have his own white label version where he can do all of those right out of the back and where his back office. He's very excited. Platform licensing fees, property listing, and then deal ICO setup. We actually have a company that has 6 countries, maybe 1,000 farms in Central America. They want to license our platform to do this for farmland. So we're very, very excited about the potential of what we can do with this platform, but also the potential of what other people will build on top of that. But let's talk about social impact, because it's not just about money. We see that there is an amazing number of people who've been excluded from real estate and real estate investing. Right now, every year, 140 million people join the global middle class. This means they went from deciding whether to buy a cigarette or take the bus or pay for electricity or pay for their kids' school fees to saying, do I want to go on holiday to Thailand, or do I want to buy this purse, or maybe I want to invest in something. but the current market doesn't even see them or doesn't care or can't afford to onboard them, but we can. And we see that's $1 trillion of sleeping capital. In fact, that's a gross underestimation because this number actually comes from Deloitte, where they say just the 90 million millennials in America have $540 billion in savings that's just sitting there, at an average $5,000 each. The thing is, they don't think that their capital can make capital. So they're doing the daily luxuries, the avocado toast, the holidays, etc. We're one of the companies that's going to show them that they can put their money to work, and with the crowd, they can really leverage something amazing. When we look at down to really what's happening, when we talk about social impact, we're in talks with a partnership with Croissant, and they're the largest offline company that does last mile distribution. 35,000 kiosks where people can pay their rent, pay their bills, whether they have a bank account or a credit card or a phone. They can use the iPad to do e-commerce shopping. And what we're proposing with them is that we can add our app to that so they can actually start doing investments on our platform, little as $100, get income, use that, leverage that to either get a loan or to get a credit score. And this is what financial inclusion looks like. 3.5 million people will almost have a possibility to own real estate and play like they're in the most sophisticated markets in the world. And we're so excited to look at partners like this all across Central America, in parts of Africa and beyond. So who's behind this? I'm very, very fortunate to have such an amazing team. My CEO, Thomas Park, has sold over $500 million of real estate in one of the hottest markets in the world, in Vancouver, Canada. He is a residential specialist, and we are moving at a light speed pace because I can just sit across and get the product team going. We look at our blockchain architect and CTO, Andrew Gillette. He was on the Ethereum founding team. 10 years in cryptography. His last project with Accenture was the Bank of Canada using R3 Corda to do interbank transfers. This now means it's in research stage, but over the next 3 years, a check will now be in a distributed ledger between the top 6 banks in Canada and clear like this. So what took 5 days and a backroom staff that I'm not sure the number is will be able to happen within minutes to hours, and this is very important. So when we look at our architecture and when we started building, we started at that level. So we're very, very proud of what our backend looks like. When it comes to legal and compliance, this is one of our most important pillars. When we look at the industry, there's a lot of people wanting to tokenize real estate because it looks cool and fancy, but really the hard work is in compliance. This is a real, tangible asset, and there are thousands of years of laws already in place, and we work within that framework. The #1 lawyer in Canada for blockchain, Michael Stevens, he actually pushed through the first regulated STO approved by the Canadian Securities Commission, and we're so excited for what he's doing for us in our process. We want to be the first regulated real estate exchange globally, and he's really on the forefront of that. Let's talk about the enterprise experience that's on our team. We have one of the senior vice presidents from Blackstone, Thomas Tiedemann. He rewrote their global REIT strategy and helped them raise their $9.6 billion fund in Asia. And what he's doing for us is structuring our enterprise model so we can compliantly onboard REITs from around the world. And this is something that I'm very excited about because we really focused on the residential. We didn't think that enterprise was going to be in our roadmap for the next 18 months. And we're already getting like so many inquiries. One REIT in Vegas is going to onboard the entire $35 million portfolio with us in November. And so we're really gearing up to make sure that we can be secure, we can be compliant, and we can scale for them. So we're in our ICO. We're just launching our pre-sale right now. We've closed out our private, and we're looking at $30 million. We're really, really, really excited to look at strategic partners, and we're in talks with SoftBank Korea and partners, and they're actually looking at us as a strategic equity partner. So if there are other people out there who are looking to join our ICO, let us know. Come visit our booth, and we're very excited to unlock the value of real estate for everyone. So thank you guys so much.